Welcome back to another episode of Surprise Mama,
where we talk about the shit they don't tell you.
Welcome to the Surprise Mama podcast,
where we talk about the shit that they don't tell you.
That is it. I am Ashley.
I'm Molly.
And what are we talking about today, Molly?
Okay, so episode number 2. We are talking about postpartum hormones, not in their totality, but just somewhat. And before we get into that, we just want to quickly revisit a term that neither of us could remember last week. It's a very common term, and that just proves my brain, right? It's called, what's the term?
Episiotomy?
Yeah, and what's an episiotomy? An episiotomy is a minor incision that's made on the perineum to prevent further tearing. And it used to be a practice that was super common, and it's not as common anymore. But if you want to know more about that, Google it.
And
Google search.
And the reason it came up is because last week I had one, and we just could not.
Last week you had one?
Last week I had one. I had one during the birth of my daughter, and we just could not for the life of us remember what it was called. So we don't discount us. We know things. Sometimes we just forget them in the moment. So just trying to prove that.
Welcome to the club of moms.
Okay.
And so anyways, for postpartum hormones, if you are pregnant, if you are planning on getting pregnant, if you are trying to get pregnant, if you've already had a child, whatever category you find yourself in, we want to talk about the postpartum hormone changes that occur. There's so many hormonal changes that everyone talks about that occur in the stage of pregnancy, the prenatal stage. But no one really prepares you for the insanity and crash that occur hormonally when you're like in the hospital, literally like immediately after you give birth. So that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah. Like, we're not experts in this topic by any means of the imagination. I did a very mild research. So what I did find, because I know everyone experiences this when they give birth. So this is what I found very interesting. I'm going to read off this because I did not memorize this, but a woman will produce more estrogen during one pregnancy than throughout her entire life when not pregnant. So it's just, it just seems like a lot. I didn't look up numbers, but like, it just seems like a lot.
So much.
Yeah. To have in one pregnancy.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that during pregnancy, what's happening is that you have estrogen and it's just building. And it just keeps getting higher and higher. And then when you're in the hospital or wherever you decide to have your child and you birth that child, guess what happens to that estrogen? It starts just plummeting immediately. It just starts leaving your body.
And it's not just estrogen that also decreases. We also have, it says decreased levels of estrogen and progesterone. Those are two hormones that just increase significantly.
It's both.
It's both. I mean, there's more than that, but I think those are like the bigger ones. So those just immediately are just decreasing right after you give birth because you don't need it anymore. Your body is not trying to support another life anymore. It's just trying to like live its normal life. And so it just has to get rid of it, just release it. So on that, that's all I looked up. Wow. Again, there's so much more, but something I else did, found when I was looking this up is when people talk about like I think it's like mom blues or like the baby blues, postpartum depression, yes,
PPD, what it's commonly known as. But this has in large part to do with it. You are going through what they call a hormone bath. That's a terminology or a term that I have heard quite a bit in my 3 months postpartum. So yes, you're in a hormone bath and it can cause a lot of reactions and everybody's experience is different though. Yeah.
So Molly, with having your baby 3 months ago, you're closer to this than I am. So what I guess so the point of the podcast obviously is talking about things about pregnancy, postpartum that surprise us. So with this topic of hormonal changes and this hormone, what did you say?
Bath. Yeah, hormone bath.
What did you expect? Did you expect anything when it came to this topic? What were you surprised about?
Okay, here's what I knew going in. It was very little. I knew that I might have an experience of hormones that were overwhelming after giving birth. And I also knew just vaguely about like PPD, postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety. I knew that these things exist, but I didn't have any understanding of why they really occur. And I just didn't anticipate my experience with it. So
would it be safe to say you didn't, everything surprised you? Everything surprised you.
I just didn't expect it.
Yeah.
Is period. Yeah. So, long story short, I'm in the hospital. I give birth. I was super proud of my birth. I felt really good about it, despite the pain afterwards. And, you know, I had expectations, however, about how I wanted to feed my child. And we will do a whole episode on feeding, maybe multiple episodes on feeding, because there are many ways to give your child the nourishment they need.
Yeah.
But I had very specific expectations about exclusively breastfeeding. And in the first 2 days of my daughter's life, she did have to supplement with some formula. And there's lots of thought around whether you actually need to do that or not, but we did. And I was devastated, sobbing. And I think that's just one example where your experience is this rush of joy, you're relieved, you're trying to connect with your baby. But on the other hand, everything that you experience, if it's a disappointment or kind of a change in plans, maybe you didn't expect, what you would normally feel as a sane human is like, oh, shoot, that's frustrating. But when you are in that hormone bath, so to speak, it is so overwhelming, devastating.
It's just exaggerated.
Everything's so elevated. It's so elevated. And that was my experience.
Yeah.
I could say so much more.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so much to it. And I think, I'll talk about a few things here in a little bit, but it is, like you just said, every little thing that normally you would just be like, oh, that's really upsetting. That's not the way that I wanted is now. But it's also everything that is you'd be like, oh, that made me really happy is now this is making me
amplified.
Yes. So joy-filled. And I think, I mean, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's
a good thing.
But there's just so much happening after you give birth, especially if you're in a hospital or Molly's, wherever you give birth. But just your life has not changed. And so it's just so much.
Yeah. And we wanted to talk about this because what isn't spoken about, I think, enough is the fact that it's okay.
Yeah.
And you're going to have whatever your experience is, no matter the intensity, whether it's positive, negative, that is normal. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to not know what to expect. But I think what we want to tell our listening friends is just know that you should expect some of this on some form or level, it's normal.
And it might not be I think maybe for some people, maybe they feel a little bit more extreme than others. It is probably a spectrum when it comes to just how it plays out or what area it plays out. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I think kind of like Molly, I did not have, in general, I don't really feel like I have a ton of highs and lows in my life, when it comes to emotional. So I don't think I really thought much about it. And I think it was more, I think I expected to just be thinking clearly right away and just doing life normally right away, and did not take into consideration the hormonal aspect and how it does mess with just how you're feeling, the emotional part of your life. And so now you have this baby. Our baby was, I don't know, jaundice for a long time, just had these weird things. And so there's just all these different things for your body. I think I just didn't realize it was happening. I think that's what it really was. I just didn't know it was happening. I'm feeling kind of crazy and I'm feeling kind of out of it and there's a lot going on.
Yeah. So what I want to comment on is it almost sounds like you're saying, first off, you didn't expect it. You didn't realize it was happening. My question is to you, do you think you discounted at any point your reaction to things or thought, oh, why am I overreacting? Or why do I feel this way? Instead of realizing this is categorically what this is.
I think it took me, I want to say like a few weeks for me to finally be like, I think this is hormones.
Yeah.
Like, I think for a while, I think I just did discount it a lot. And I think I just kind of, maybe I think I was kind of not like, just kind of be like, oh, I shouldn't be this way, or I shouldn't feel this out of it, or I shouldn't feel this, that. And like, I know a lot is happening, but I should be able to handle it. And then I think it was a few weeks later, I was like, I think this is normal. Like, this is a very normal thing that is happening to me. And I think this is just hormones. And then it was easier to deal with stuff because I could, even to my husband, just kind of be like, hey, I know I've been a little bit erratic, and I think that is okay. And that is expected. And I shouldn't be, expecting things of me, of myself, that is just realistically at the time not going to happen.
Yeah. And I just think every episode we're going to hit on this, we're like between the lines right now of women have so much that they expect themselves to be able to do. We put so much pressure on ourselves. And I mean, not all of that comes solely from us. There's social media, there's all of these there's so much messaging coming toward us and at us and being aimed and targeted, especially in pregnancy. And so when you don't have this like perfect experience that aligns with what you've seen, or that you maybe the level of knowledge that it can be really overwhelming. And so it's just normal to experience this. It's normal to not realize you're experiencing it. So,
and I think too, I was just thinking about this, like, I think also it's really easy for women to just be like, well, I'm just sleep deprived, or like, I'm just tired, or I'm just, hungry. There's a lot of external things you can point to.
Well, you are that.
Well, you are. Sorry. I mean,
like, you are. That is also probably happening. But in addition,
yes, it's like, yes, all those things are very true. You're right. But there is way more to it than just, well, if I got more sleep, or if I got, more, if I ate more, it's just like, no, I think a lot of it, the root is my hormones are changing. My body is still changing even after I had this child. So there's a lot.
I don't know what it is, but I wonder what the timeline is of how long it takes to sort of return to normalcy, hormonally speaking. I doubt there's actually a black and white timeline on that because everyone's body is different. But I do wonder what the estimate is.
I have
time.
I would say, everybody's very different. I have a story about that. That's for a different episode.
Okay.
But I do have a reason. I think it is very dependent on the woman and how their body reads what's going on, what's happening in their own body. That's for another episode, though. But I will say, so I feel like, okay, emotionally, it took me a while to realize hormones, all that different stuff. Physically, though, I will tell you, one of the most obvious hormonal changes, which I did look up and I knew this was a hormonal thing, night sweats. Okay, I swear nobody told me about night sweats. Maybe somebody like offhandedly told me about night sweats, but I swear to God, nobody told me anything about night sweats.
Okay, one of my friends, like, just off the cuff, like maybe like a week before I gave birth, was like, oh yeah, you're gonna be a sweaty mess. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, you're gonna wake up like drenched in sweat. And I thought, okay. But I didn't actually think it was going to happen to me. And I'll get back to that. But wait, tell me your experience about night sweats.
I, again, did not know anything. And in the hospital, I was fine. So I didn't experience it at the hospital.
Same.
So I did not think much of it at all. So when I got home, I had my baby in January, in the winter. And I don't know if you're like me. I love sleeping with covers on. I
Amen.
need them to sleep. And so I would go to bed. Because my husband and I had this, how we had it set up is that I would get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and then he would take care of baby back. So we would got pretty good sleep. So I'd go to bed in a sweater. What? It was the winter. It was, our bedroom's kind of cold. I'd have a sweater on.
A sweater.
Like, whatever. You see. And then I would pull up my heavy blanket on, and I was so comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
I would wake up drenched. Like, the sweater was drenched.
Oh, no. Like, drenched through?
Yes.
Were you dehydrated?
Oh, I'm sure. I had to pump. It was just a nightmare.
Oh my gosh.
But I did this. I feel like I am a very smart person.
Yeah.
I did this for a week straight. I never changed because I was like, tonight's not going to happen tonight. It's definitely not going to happen every single night. I think it took a week.
And you caught on.
Yeah.
Okay, question. Did you go through the effort of fully like changing your sheets at any point in the middle of the night?
No.
Okay, yeah, me neither. I just was curious if you did.
Like, I washed them.
Well, yeah, like not in the middle of the night.
It was just, I did not think it would be that bad. Like, I've sweated in my sleep before, but not like so drenched.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, we're not. This is serious business, ladies. I mean,
It's gross.
like night sweats are real, and they might start for you in the hospital. I guess for Ashley and I, we didn't have them in the hospital, but now I'm thinking, I'm like, maybe I was a little sweaty, but I thought it was just because you're literally laying on plastic, so they're good with some of that. But it was freezing in the hospital, so, yeah, but night sweats, yeah, like I said, I didn't think I was going to get up, even though I was pre-warned, but that was because mine didn't truly kick in until, I don't know, maybe 4 days postpartum, which might be normal. But
and I think that's what mine were. Like, we were in the hospital for like 3 or 4 days. So I think it really wasn't until I got home. Okay. And like you said, maybe it happened in the hospital. I just like didn't.
But the plastic, you're literally laying on plastic,
Yeah.
so who knows?
And also you're in that nightgown that like has a lot of air to it. So maybe you just don't really notice.
And you're also you just have a lot of other things going on. And there's like a nurse in your room every 10 minutes like, can I check your vitals?
Let me touch your belly.
Oh, we need to warn people about the belly touching.
That's the worst.
Different episode. Okay. So we'll do a whole episode on just like what to expect while you're in the hospital. Okay. But okay, so I'm home, right? And first off, there were 2 things happening. One, I was about to get night sweats. Didn't know it when I went to bed that night. And my milk had come in, literally, like I think the same night. So husband and I both wake up and I am drenched in sweat. Like my back is totally soaked, but then the front of me, there's just like 2 puddles running down the front of my shirt because my milk had come in. So I'm like so sweaty. I'm panicked because like I'm trying to get into my infant. I'm like sleep deprived. Don't know what's happening. And my husband literally starts laughing. He goes, "Oh my God."
It's just so much liquid. There's just
there's so many fluids like flushing out of your body. You're just like, what is happening?
Were you thirsty? Were you dehydrated?
Okay, I'm still thirsty. I feel like I'm still dehydrated all the time because I am breastfeeding still.
That is true.
But those first few weeks when you are trying to establish a breastfeeding routine, okay, you think you're thirsty while you're pregnant. You don't understand what thirst is. Like insatiable thirst. Like I would drink one of those huge hospital jugs every time I fed my kid. And that was like every hour and a half or something like that. You're just so thirsty.
And you don't have to pee as much. It just kind of comes out.
Actually, that's true.
Yeah. I looked up this fact, which I don't believe this by any means of the imagination. But it said postpartum night sweats are normal and natural to reaction to changing hormone levels. That I totally agree with.
Yeah.
It's common to wake up soaked in sweat in the first few weeks after you have a baby. Again, I agree with that. We experienced that.
We agree.
Here's what I don't agree with. Some research suggests 35% of people who have just given birth claim to have postpartum night sweats. I just want to say
35%.
I have talked to many of my friends, and a large, vast majority of them have had night sweats. So I think this 35% is not right.
It's a lie.
It seems very low.
They're lying.
I agree. I don't know what poll they took, but I feel like it was not enough women.
That percentage is just way too small.
Yeah,
I don't believe it.
I don't remember where I got this, so I don't know if I trust the site, but like it seems too low.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say. if you're listening to this and you've had a child, or you're going to have a child soon, and you had night sweats or you didn't, you have to let us know.
We're gonna conduct our own poll. We need to know. Well,
Surprise Mama poll.
on our Instagram, we'll put a poll.
Yeah.
In the story.
Did you have night sweats?
Yes.
Check yes or no.
Because I'm genuinely like, I talked to a friend who had a baby a while ago, and I asked her, like, did you have night sweats? And she said yes. I said, how'd they go? She said, well, like, she didn't really experience them at home. She had the opposite of us, where she experienced them in the hospital. And she said one time a nurse came in. She was so sweaty, like her neck and her hair was so sweaty. A nurse came in and thought she had just showered, and she was like, no, just sweating.
That's horrible.
The nurse felt really, really bad.
Yeah, she should.
But I'm just like,
Your poor friend. But good for her that she didn't have them when she got home.
I know.
It's almost better to have them in the hospital because you just feel gross.
Okay.
At the hospital anyways. Like,
you do,
you smell weird. The hospital smells weird.
but like at least at home, okay, I feel like, and we can talk about this another time, but like at the hospital, I showered once. I just feel like it's really hard. There's just so much going on. It's just hard to move a little bit. So like showering is not the easiest. When you're home, though, it is easier to shower. So it's like after my night sweats, I would, in the morning or whenever I got up and had the chance to I would shower.
That's true.
I feel like at the hospital, it'll be a little bit harder.
Well, you're still just kind of in the raw of it. And I remember I did shower once, but you're like also hooked up to stuff. So just depending on what kind of birth you had.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to like go to the bathroom to be mobile and whatever. But then again, I know friends that were like just walking around like right after. So
So I would prefer the night sweats at home, but
oh, the night sweats. Oh, the hormones. So I guess the message is just expect to be sweaty. And
that's the message of today's topic is just expect to be sweaty.
And expect that whatever hormonal experience or roller coaster you have, it's normal. And you're not alone. And don't blame yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. And just try to laugh at it as much as you can. Like the night sweats, you gotta laugh. It's because it's just so weird.
It just like when you go to bed at night, don't wear a sweater and like a comforter. I just don't do it. Even if it's the winter, I'm just telling you we'll sweat through it.
Yeah.
So,
and I guess my parting advice, yours is don't wear a sweater.
Yeah.
Mine is, they sell what they call sleeping maternity bras or nursing bras. Wear one when you go to bed. If you're trying to have your milk come in, don't go to bed not wearing a bra.
Oh, that's
because you will wake up in the situation that I did. Not just soaked from sweat. That's all I'm saying. So just wear something to catch it, you know? That's all I'm going to say.
I 100% hear that. I mean, I pumped, but still, it was like you used to leak at night all the time.
Before you knew what to do. Yeah. But they also sell these disposable breast pads. And those, ladies, those save lives. So
they save sheets.
Sure.
And clothes.
Sheets and clothes.
And a lot of things. So
get them.
That's all.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, cool.
I think that's everything.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
We would love to hear from you. We have an email, surprisemommapod. I will put it at the bottom of this video. I'll put it somewhere where you can see it. Just to email us your experience, especially with hormonal changes. This is just kind of like an overview, obviously not very in-depth at all. Mostly we wanted to hit on night sweats because we think it's freaking hilarious and we just like love talking about it. But we would love to hear your questions or topic ideas or just really anything that has to do with what we're here about. But you can find us on Instagram at Surprise Momma. I think Surprise Mama Pod. I'll put it again. I'll find it somewhere where you can visually see it. Also, these will be on YouTube and Spotify. So follow along, tell your friends about it. We mostly just want to hear from you and just hear your experience also with any of these topics. So
Totally. 100%.
yeah.
All right. See you
Thanks
next
for
time.
listening. Bye.